Hello, as most of you know already, my name is Lissa. This is my thief, and what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go over my thief build. The reason why I'm doing this is because I haven't posted many videos recently on our guild channel, and that's mostly because I haven't gotten any good footage, or I've been missing out on a lot of the World v World stuff, like I missed Reset. So this is going to be something I'll try to do more with, going through my builds, or other people in the guild's builds and having them help out, or even maybe posting their own videos of the build themselves, the people that I know their class really well. Now, first thing I'm going to go over is my PvP build, and this is what I use. I use pistol dagger. To save money, you can go pistol one thing and then dagger in the other weapon set. It'll allow you to switch weapons, doesn't affect what weapons you actually have, and it allows you to proc your sigil of energy, which is very important. As most of you know, is I'm running a condition build, but the unique thing is I dodge roll a lot. So the sigil of energy gives you an additional dodge. Sigil bursting is the other one, and it adds 6% to your current condition damage. The traits I use are 2 in deadly arts, 0 in crit strikes, 3 in shadow arts, 3 in acrobatics, and 6 in trickery. I put 2 into deadly arts for the stealing inflicting poison, which is a condition. That's great. Poison's a really strong condition, and with this build you actually have no way to put condition besides using your ultimate skill and the runes of the crate, and then stealing because of this trait. The next one I use in this line is Mug, and the reason why Mug is really important is because this build surprises people with the amount of burst damage it deals, and the fact that it can just turn around and then kill someone without them expecting it, especially if they're chasing you and you're low health. It heals you up a bit, so you don't die when you do turn. It also damages them, and it adds in that little bit of damage that you might need to kill someone. I put 3 into Shadow Arts because of Last Refuge is good, its benefit, but the main reason is because of Shadow's Embrace, and the next trait I'm going to talk about. Well, Shadow's Embrace removes conditions periodically while in stealth. You do not stealth for long, but you do stealth a lot. The reason why is because you're constantly entering into from Cloak and Dagger, entering into stealth, and then immediately popping out the sneak attack for that extra bleeding damage and more bleeding stacks, because this build is all about bursting. Meld with Shadows is actually the reason why I have 3 in this. The reason why I have Meld with Shadows is because it gives you 1 more second in stealth, which is good because it allows you to reposition yourself. It's more forgiving with Cloak and Dagger and waiting to use that sneak attack at the right moment, as well as you can reposition yourself if once you Last Refuge better, and especially when someone gets downed, you want to Cloak and Dagger on their body and then stomp them, and with that additional second you'll be able to be in stealth the entire time, if not the entire time, most of the time when stomping them. I put 3 in acrobatics because expeditious dodger, since you're dodging a lot, swiftness is really good. Vigorous recovery, gain vigor when using a healing skill. That's really beneficial because vigor is really good when you're, especially if you're built around dodge rolling and all that. That's pretty obvious. Feline Grace, dodging returns some of the endurance used. This is actually what makes this build work as effectively as it does. Mostly because, say I dodge roll, I get 15 back, and then I dodge roll again, I get 30 back in total. And meanwhile, I'm regenning that, and because I gain vigor from using my heal skill, and also later on you'll find out my steal also gives me vigor, by then I should have enough energy to do an additional dodge. So that would be 3 dodges in a row, and then when I weapon swap and fill my endurance back 50%, I have another dodge, and then that gives me 15 endurance back. So that's 4 in total, and I have 30 more endurance, which by the time that regens, I got my 5th dodge in a row. And then I can use my heal skill, and then that's technically another dodge, and by the time that ends, I get to dodge roll again. So, I mean, that's where it comes into play, and that's one of the reasons why you can string in dodge rolls around, and one of the reasons why it almost always guarantees you have enough endurance to dodge. For trickery, stealing gives you initiative. It's good because later on you'll find out in my rotation you actually never have full initiative when you use steal. Next one is caltrops. One of the best things about this build is you drop caltrops whenever you dodge. And since I'm dodging a lot, it's very effective for a Condi build. Preparedness increases maximum initiative by 3. The increased initiative pool is good because it gives you more resources to deal damage with. Bountiful Theft is another interesting trait that I'm using. Its stealing grants you and all allies vigor, and your rip bones from your target and grant them to nearby allies. Boon ripping is good. Vigor, again, really good for this build, and it gives it to all your allies too, so that's even better. Lead attacks increases damage per initiative. That's not too relevant with this build. And then Bewildering Ambush. Stealing also applies confusion. This is a really big part of this build. It gives it a lot more of its burstiness, and because a lot of people don't expect confusion from a thief, they're not really thinking about using abilities or not to use abilities. So it can make people burst themselves down. It helps when you turn around and then use steal and mug them and to gain a bunch of health back while they're chasing you, and then they're chasing you, so they're using all their abilities to keep up with you and your swiftness and all that, and while they're crippled. So it's great. That's all I really have to say about it. For runes, I didn't go over this before, I don't think. Runes use Rune of the Crate. Condition, bleeding duration, all great for conditions, and then when you use your elite skill, it'll inflict bleeding, torment, and poison. Great, more conditions that they have to get rid of, or an additional duration to conditions you already applied on them. Carrying Amulet is what you use. It's 650 power, 650 vitality, 932 condition damage, which is really good. The reason why I like Carrion versus any of the other condition damage options in PvP is the fact that the power enables you to not rely all the way on condition damage, and it now allows you to do more burst, and the vitality gives you more survivability. Now that I went through that, pretty much you should know what these abilities do. If you don't and you're watching this video, you can go on your thief and then just simply equip them, or go into your hero and go into skills, weapon skills, and then find out what they do. Now I'm going to do is go through my rotation, but first you can see my utilities. I use withdraw, it's a dodge, as well as it gives vigor because of my trait, and it's very short cooldown, 15 seconds, so really good. It cures immobilized and crippled and chilled. Next one is Shadow Step that I use, and what that allows you to do is you move to a certain spot, come back, and cure 3 conditions. It also breaks stun, so on both activations, so you can use it to get out of a sticky situation, get into another sticky situation, and use it to leave that one, or you can use it to break someone's ankles and juke them. Next part is Scale Venom. I use it because it adds additional burst, and because of the vulnerability, it gives them another thing they have to cleanse. And that's what this is about, putting a bunch of conditions really quickly on your opponents. Signet of Agility grants increased precision, not really relevant. Signet Active, refill endurance and cure a condition for each nearby ally, really relevant. It enables you to, remember I was talking about how much you dodge, and you can get 5 dodges in a row. If you use this, you can get an additional 2 dodges, which actually, because of the Feline Grace, that's actually an additional another dodge. So you can chain in dodges, and I think I did. I messed around for a bit, and if you timed everything correctly, you could dodge over 30 times every 2 seconds, without a 2-second or greater gap in between them. Basilisk Venom, your next attack turns your foe to stun. It stuns them, it's really good. You're typically not going to use this in your initial burst. Reason being is because when you stun them, they can't use their abilities from your steal, which gives them confusion, so it's not that great to use right off the bat. Usually I use it if I'm in the middle of a bunch of them and I want to CC one of them, or I use it in the middle of my rotation because at the time I'll be right next to them and it will be just effective. For rotation, typically you want to turn on Scale Venom. It lasts for 30 seconds. and it goes on, when you use it, it goes on cooldown and starts refreshing the cooldown. So technically, you want to put it on sooner than later when in a fight. Then you're going to use Cloak and Dagger, and because it has a channel time, not many people realize that it does have a cast time before it actually fires. You can use Steel, which will not interrupt it, and then you can use, so then once you hit your target, you'll stealth, and then use Sneak Attack, and then you use Shadow Strike, and you disengage. So I'm going to click on it, I'm going to go through it really quick, and I actually messed up and didn't hit one. But as you can see, I went in there very quickly. I put 5 stacks of Torment, Poison on them, 5 stacks of Bleeding, if not more, from by the time I'm auto-attacking them already. And I was in and out, and 5 stacks of Confusion. And so I almost have 0 threat to myself once I jumped in there and then went out. And then even if there was a threat, I could use Shadow Step to get away, get into range of someone else to use Cloak and Dagger, which it also doesn't interrupt Cloak and Dagger or any of your channel skills, so you can also use that to stomp people. Now, watching dodge roll is it's important to make sure you're allowing your dodges to space them out a little bit, just so that you don't end up accidentally like using something that you could when it's not full. That's pretty much it. If you have any more questions, you can simply ask in game or in the comment section, and I'll try to address them about this build in particular. This is just my build. If you think something else will run better, then I would suggest you doing it, and if it fits your playstyle better, then that's great. If you want me to do more things like this, just let me know and I will try. And I'll also be trying to get some of the other guild members involved with this, much like Fish and Six Shot, on coming out with their builds they use for, say, Wolviewold as Guardian for 6, or his Valkyrie Thief Commander build, or other interesting things like that. If you don't like it, also tell me and I will try my best to either fix it, or turns out that this wasn't a great idea, and then I just won't do it again and stick to World v World videos. So that is it, and I will try to do an additional video for World v Worlds for this one. I just didn't want to make this super long.